Lesson 23C. We are on the third day of exponents now. We're going to learn how to divide those expressions that have exponents with the same base. Let's review with some basics. This is what exponential form looks like. What is the big number called? Base. Good. What is the small number called? So this is 3 to the 4th power. What is this called? Expanded product or extended product or expanded form. What about if I ask you to multiply it? What do you see in the directions? Evaluate. Good. Yesterday we learned the special problems where there's no parentheses. So is this negative included? No. It's not included in the repeating process. So this is just negative and then 4 times 4 times 4, which is negative 64. How about this one? Is it included? No. No, so leave it outside and your final answer is negative. Don't get it confused with the ones that do have parentheses. If it has parentheses, then that negative is also repeating. So far so good? Okay, just tell me the answers. It's not on your notes this time. What's the final answer to this problem? Negative 25. Good. How about this one? Be careful.
64.
Positive 64. This one has parentheses, so it is repeating the negative. Negative times negative is positive. And please tell me, what would this look like in exponential form? Good. Negative 2 in parentheses to the 4th power. Very nice. Today, this is the new stuff. We are dividing exponent expressions that have the same base. So they're both 5s. So I could read this as 5 being multiplied 6 times, right? Divided by 5 being multiplied 4 times. We all know how to cross cancel, right? What is 5 divided by 5? 1. So when we cross cancel like this, there's actually 1s here. This cross cancels, that's 1. Cross cancel, 1. Cross cancel, 1. What is left?
2 5s.
2 5s, which is 5 times 5. So 5 squared. You're going to write this as 5 squared. Okay? So do number 1 on your notes with me. Please write it out in expanded form first. So you're going to write 11 tens and 8 tens. 10 to the 11th power means 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 11 times. Divided by 10 to the 8th power means 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 8 times. Now 10 divided by 10, you already told me, was 1. So this would be a whole bunch of giant 1s until what's left?
3 tens.
3 tens, so that would be 10 cubed. Okay, please do the same thing with number 2. List out 14 sevens and 12 sevens. After you cross cancel all those sevens, how many is left? 2. So your answer would be 7 squared. Any questions about this? Kathy? Number 3 is a little bit different. I would like you to still write it out in expanded form. So 3 5s on top, 9 5s on the bottom. And then 5 divided by 5 is 1. Those all cross divide away. But remember, I said 5 divided by 5 is 1. So at the top, there is still a number there. What is 1 times 1 times 1? 1. Very good. This is actually 1 over 5 to the 6th power. It becomes a fraction because the top has a 1. Number 4 is the same thing. Please write the negative 3 repeating 7 times and 12 times. It is in parentheses, which means you need to keep it in parentheses because that negative you don't want to leave out. Are there any negative 3s left on top? No. How many are left on bottom?
5.
So what is the number that's actually on the top? 1. So your final answer will be 1 over negative 3 in parentheses to the 5th power. Number 1 again. I'm going to start with number 1. We have 7 to the 9th divided by 7 to the 6th. Go ahead and write it in expanded product. simplify it, and then we're actually going to multiply it out this time. Your final answer, that is. They cross cancel to be a bunch of ones. What's left? 3 7. So 7 to the third power. And there is actually a 1 on the bottom, right? But when we have whole numbers like 7, do we ever write it as 7 over 1?
No.
Not usually. Sometimes we do, but usually we just write it as 7. So this answer is 7 cubed over 1, but we don't need to write the over 1. Okay? And 7 times 7 times 7, if you were to evaluate that, what would that be? 343. Very nice. Number 2 looks easy, but it is a little bit tricky because some of you go too fast. Raise your hand if you think the answer is going to be all crossed out. Everything crosses out. Okay, is that answer going to be 0? Good, it's not 0. Just because everything crosses out doesn't mean nothing's left. What is really left here? Very good. This is a giant 1. 1 over 1 equals 1. It's a big old giant 1. Okay? Remember, it doesn't just cross out and disappear. It's not 0. There is still a number. Alright, 3 and 4 I bet you can do on your own now. Go ahead and do both of those. Kathy's correct. This is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 divided by 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So everything becomes 1 except for the last one. So we just have 10. You could write it as 10 to the first power, but that just means write 10 once. So there you go. It's just 10. How about number 4? Anyone want to share their answer for number 4? Renee? Close though. 1/4. The one that's left over is on the bottom. So remember, there's still a 1 at the top. Careful, don't get tricked there. Okay? Go ahead and do number 5 and 6. 5 should be pretty simple. 6 has fractions, but that doesn't scare you, right? Same exact process. Anyone like to share their answer for number 5? Matthew? Good. This would be 3 to the 5th power because the ones that are left over are on top, so we don't have to write over 1. How about number 6? Natalie? 1/2. Good. The one that's left over is also on the top, so we don't have to write over 1, and you don't need the parentheses anymore. So far, so good? Great. 7 and 8. Go ahead and do these. We have negatives now, which means the parentheses are necessary. Please don't ignore them. Number 7, they all become giant 1s except for the last one, so this would be -2. You don't need a parentheses. Number 8, Ethan?
1 over parentheses -8 squared.
Good. 1 over -8 in parentheses squared. Now remember, it's not the same thing as writing this. We are not squaring a fraction, we're only squaring the -8. So the exponent is only on the bottom. Okay, so just be careful and neat about your answer. Any questions about these? Last 2 then. -2/3 in parentheses squared. Only 2 of them left after you cross cancel. Very good. And volunteer for number 10. Beth. Good. -4/7 in parentheses cubed. Any questions about any of these? Alright, I have one more problem for you. I am going to make up this problem and choose a really, really big exponent.
Yay.
Raise your hand if you can do this problem without writing it out in expanded product form. Good, that means you figured out a pattern, right? What would this answer be in exponential form, Aaliyah? 5 to the 3rd power, 5 cubed. Who can tell me why that's a correct answer? Mia? Right, 27 minus 24. If you subtract it, you would get 3. And what we've been doing is cross-canceling, right? And then we count what's left over. When you count whatever's left, what you really did there was kind of like subtraction, right? You're counting whatever's left. So on your homework, if it asks you to write extended product, please do. If it doesn't, you can just use the pattern that you've come up with on your own. All right, that's it for today. So what did you learn? Ready? Share.